Hey guys, Legendary Grimlock here, and today we got two extremely powerful magical baddies going at it today. We have Morrigan Aensland versus the Scarlet Witch, and we're going to see who wins this battle. Now, obviously, we're going to get into the meat and potatoes, none of that origin stuff here, because we already know who these characters are. Well, probably not Morrigan, but I think if you play Marvel's Capcom, you should know her. But anyway, let's get into the scaling. Scarlet Witch is easily universal. Now, you can determine how many layers you went into as much as you want, but again, we're going to stick with outer right here. So the reason why she's universal is because she scales above the Phoenix, or at least the Dark Phoenix itself. Now, Phoenix level scaling is easily above characters like Hulk, Thor, Gladiator, and beings like that. She's also been able to eat the Dark God Chthon, who basically gave her powers and stuff. You know, it's a part of him anyway. And she then absorbed the Darkhold, and now that's already on top of her power. I know, crazy, right? Scarlet Witch herself, being a Phoenix level character, is again above a lot of the stronger powerhouses in Marvel. She's even confirmed to be the equivalent to the Phoenix, almost a, what's the word I'm looking for? A camaraderie or a sort of sisterhood between her powers and the Phoenix Force, as she was really a match for Hope Summers, who was the next chosen host of the Phoenix itself here. And with Hope, they were both able to banish the Dark Phoenix. Now, what is important about this Phoenix level scaling? Considering the Phoenix scales above characters like Thor, Hulk, and other characters, we could easily use them for scaling. But I think the simplest one I can use right now, considering I have been studying the whole 8th Cosmos thing a bit more now, I think it is better if I just use Thor for the main scaling point, right? So how powerful is Thor? Now, Thor as a child and as a teenager went on rampages and even shook the Yggdrasil tree. The Yggdrasil tree is basically a miniature quantum-sized multiverse containing not just the 9 realms, but other infinite universes that are a part of it. Keep in mind, Yggdrasil is also able to grant people the power of the 8th cosmos, meaning it's either channeling that energy or it is that energy in general. Now, the 8th cosmos is kind of like a, what's the word I'm looking for? An instant guaranteed victory for anyone who uses or even channels even a small portion at that power. For example, look at Iron Man's Mysterium armor. That thing is indestructible. And we actually seen what Mysterium does here. We even seen what a small concept, all right, a small minor concept, the concept of love, the concept of love itself here was able to power up Nova to such a degree that he was able to literally shove a Mysterium bullet right through a Lifebringer Ego Prime amped version of Dormammu and one-shot it. Yeah, I think that should speak volumes on the things that Thor could do, or at least the power that Thor had when he was like going on these rampages as a teenager, and the sheer fact he shook it when he cried as a baby. And again, there are many beings and characters that Scarlet Witch scales above that have been able to give Thor a run for their money. Characters like Rachel Grey, who's actually been able to beat Thor, I think, at least 1 or 2 times, even downing him with a telekinetic blast and even being able to harm him with his own attacks. So again, she's able to scale to beings like Thor. And then you have Phoenix Force Namor, Magic, Colossus, the entirety of the Phoenix 5. Even Dark Phoenix himself doesn't really scale to the Scarlet Witch here, but they're able to casually ragdoll and just embarrass Thor on a consistent basis. It, like, they were straight up humiliating this guy, blocking Mjolnir with one finger, beating the mess out of him and stuff like that, threatening to take his cheeks and stuff. Ember Frost Phoenix Force, by the way, yeah, she was gonna do some things to Thor. She was gonna, yeah. Anyway, moving on here. So again, with Yggdrasil also containing not only the 8 cosmos, but the unspace itself, puts Yggdrasil at a, I think it's pretty simple, a multiversal, or at least an outerversal artifact, which again, Scarlet Witch would easily scale to. Now, as for her powers and abilities, Scarlet Witch possesses pretty much every magic, every reality warping ability in the book. Yes, she does have chaos magic, but chaos magic also devils within more reality warping type things. She's been able to do a lot of things. She's been able to summon things that have never appeared in Era. Again, bending reality to her will. She's been able to banish celestials alongside the other sorcerers. She can conjure up any type of spell she wants. And one of her, I guess you could say, let's see, one of her perks of her powers is probability manipulation. With this probability manipulation, she's actually been able to do anything she wants. You see, being able to manipulate probabilities are very dangerous, meaning you can manipulate any outcome and make sure it benefits you. It's the way how Domino uses it, but to a much larger degree. Or how Isuka, the unbeatable, manipulates probability to the point where she's always supposed to win. And yet, you know, Wanda has a much more, what's the word I'm looking for, powerful definition of the probability manipulation. So I think it is pretty simple here. And I think that is enough to cover her. She has every ability or every magical ability in the book here. She's easily an out-of-versal entity, you know, scaling to Yggdrasil and stuff like that, and characters like Thor, obviously being above the Phoenix avatars that aren't Jean Grey. So that should cover her, but let's move on to Morrigan Aensland. Now, the Darkstalkers, or I should say the Capcom cosmology, is actually pretty simple. It's actually equal to that of Archie Sonics. You see, in the Mega Man comics, it's actually established that there are an infinite number of universes in both not only Sonic's, but also Capcom's. Keep in mind, this includes things like Devil May Cry, Resident Evil, Monster Hunter, and obviously Darkstalkers. Jeddah Doma, one of the few beings that Morrigan scales above here, was able to create the, and I hope I'm not butchering this, and it's the Magi. The Magi is a realm beyond time and space and likely dimensionality, because Jeddah created this dimension with the purpose of being beyond the human world here. The human world is, again, just another universe that is infinite in size, with, again, its own cosmology, with its own beings to protect it here. And Jeddah is considered the top tier dude. Like, he's the top dog here. Morrigan Aensland would also scale above Pyron, who is able to consume infinite universes. This will also put her at the massively faster than light to the immeasurable levels of speed. And again, she's a physical fighter as well, which means she's able to pierce, cut, slash, and even kiss and drain the souls out of other beings here. All right? Even in her full power state, which was actually revealed in the Street Fighter versus Darkstalkers crossover, which is noted to be canon, by the way. It's actually noted that Morrigan's full power actually made her the most powerful being in her respective verse. Meaning, again, she would upscale all her realms. And keep in mind, as a child herself, she actually had to be separated from her full power, and it was actually left with 1/3. Keep in mind, 1/3 of her power is already competing with dudes and beings like Pyron, who's known to consume multiple universes. All right? He's able to eat them, gobble them up. And again, as a kid, she was just dangerous. Like, she basically had the Thor syndrome. You know, she basically had the Thor experience, you know, where her power was just so dangerous as a child that it had to be separated from her. And when she got her full power, you know, she wasn't complete with it, and it ultimately destroyed her. However, she's able to regenerate from that. And mind you, beings in Darkstalkers can regenerate from even their souls being cut up and scattered throughout reality. So they're still able to regenerate from that. And Morrigan is no different. She's actually regenerated from being sliced up into pieces before and coming back. Keep in mind, Morrigan is also a magical user as well. She's able to shapeshift, teleport, actually has nullification spells. She can, you know, actually augment other people's powers. She can absorb other people's powers and stuff. And again, this is through her magical means. She also has the Soul Fist, obviously the Shadow Blade. She's able to manipulate energy, light, and she can summon all forms of weaponry, including things like missiles. Yeah, I know Darkstalkers, it gets crazy. Like, you you got children in this thing, like just holding RPGs and stuff. It just gets crazy. It gets crazy. She's also capable of opening portals and stuff like that. And she also uses tendrils a lot here. Now, again, I think it's pretty simple and pretty straightforward with her. She's a physical fighter, but will rely on hexes to get the upper hand in a fight, you know? And I think it is pretty simple where she does scale. In her green hair form, where she's only at 1/3 of her power, she's easily the third strongest in the verse. But again, using her full power state here, she's easily the top tier of the verse here. However, again, I do not know if the demon world or if the magi realm scales above dimensionality. We know it's above time and space, but we don't know if it's above the likes of dimensionality. So I will have to look more into that. But if it is, this will put her out of Versal. If not, you can easily get her to Hyperversal Plus at her base power. But then if her full power, simply scales above beings who are able to create this and above those who can destroy it pretty easily, then yeah, I think that should make her an out-of-versal entity because it's beyond, the likes of time and space and stuff, making it probably even, hyperversal and stuff like that. But again, I think you guys pretty much understand what I mean here. So, yeah, I think that really just covers Morrigan Aensland, depending on how you look at it. But we'll say she's out of Versal for right now, just to kind of keep things balanced until I have proper well, I've researched the full and complete thing, right? Now, let's actually talk about this match as a whole. Morrigan physically dominates Wanda. I don't think anyone can disagree with that. Scarlet Witch doesn't really have the best physical feats. Like, she could get, knocked out by someone like Captain America or someone like, Thor, Hawkeye, stuff like that. All right. And I'm not mentioning the movie. She's actually been knocked out by like mere humans before. And you might think, okay, that guarantees her to win. She could physically speed blitz Scarlet Witch and just end it. Well, I guess this video is over, right? Right? No. That's not how it works. Especially with Wanda here. You see, the problem here is that Wanda's probability manipulation, it's very interesting. You might say, oh, well, what about Morrigan's nullification abilities? That's where you really have to pick and choose if her powers can negate probabilities itself. All right? Negating someone's probability manipulation, I think, is a very difficult thing to do here. The sheer fact that, it could work, it could possibly not work. Like, there's always that chance that your powers won't work against Wanda. There have even been times where she's done that, even causing her opponents to trip up and miss her, even if it's just by inches. And again, it might be just that situation here. Morrigan may start off shooting rockets at Wanda. Wanda may deflect them or just shut the attack down altogether like she did with MODOK. And again, I think Wanda is the more powerful of the two, considering she has been a bit more consistent than Morrigan. Now again, if we do use the Ultron Sigma scaling and scaling Morrigan's full power state above that, then yeah, I think Wanda's going to have some ridiculous issues here. But not using that and using simply the regular canon of Darkstalkers and Capcom in general without the crossovers, I think Scarlet Witch does take this high to eventually mid difficulty, but I do think she does get a few scars along the way. But hey, that's going to be all today, you guys. Please comment down below, like and subscribe and share with your friends. This is Legendary Grimlock, and I hope y'all have a blessed day.